What we're about to demonstrate is how we can use a large language model, in this case ChatGPT built by OpenAI, to address our topic question by analyzing a data set. This is an edited version of multiple trials of using ChatGPT on this particular topic for a few reasons. One, I wanted to make the video a little bit easier to watch by not having long pauses. Two, ran into some network errors, wanted to demonstrate those, but again, not have them delay the video. And three, wanted to also show that sometimes the results that you get back from the generative AI model are not the same. They're not reproducible in the sense that they don't always answer the question in the same way. Here's the data that we are going to be looking at. These are weather station data in the UK, and we will be looking at the Oxford station. This is the data set. What we will do is load that up into ChatGPT, ask it to help us identify if there is a trend of increasing temperatures. To do that, we're going to come over here to ChatGPT. We'll log in. We'll come over to the UI version of ChatGPT. We are going to be using a custom GPT made by OpenAI. This one is called Data Analyst, and it can help the user analyze and visualize data. So let's go in there. Let's load our file, and it's this file here. This is a simple text file downloaded from that web page. We will load it up, and then we'll ask it to analyze it. Using this data set, tell me if temperatures in this area are warming. Okay, so we haven't said anything about the data set. We've simply loaded it up and asked it a question. While it's doing that, I'll take a quick look at the file there, and you can see that the file is exactly what was on the web page. Simply turned it into a text file. It has this metadata description at the top, and so ChatGPT needs to be able to handle that, and then needs to extract the data from this data listing of temperatures down below. As we can see, it has identified it as Oxford, even though we didn't tell it which area it is. It's identified the columns with minimum and maximum temperature, but it is having some trouble reading the data. As you can see here, it tried to load it into a data frame, ran into an error, and it's now trying to correct that error. Impressively, it is trying different techniques to be able to load in the data. Remember, if we take a look at the data file, we can see that it has these non-numeric characters, which it needs to be able to handle. And if we were to scroll down towards the bottom, you would see some of the data points are marked with asterisks, and these indicate that it's a provisional data. In fact, it's got this provisional column here. It needs to be able to handle all of that, and we provided no instructions to do so. Taking a look back, what it has done is it's been able to read the file. It is now correctly identified that this has temperature data or broader weather data for Oxford dating back to 1853. It's loading these columns into a data frame, and it's starting its analysis. Okay, ran into yet another error, and it's trying to correct that, trying a different approach. It now understands the columns and has created a data dictionary for us. It is focusing on Tmax and Tmin, which are temperature data. And remember, our original question was, are temperatures warming in this area? So it has correctly identified which columns it should focus on. Okay, it has been able to plot out Tmax and Tmin. It tells us that a linear regression, so this is how it is analyzing whether this trend is statistically significant or not, has produced these slope values. It has looked at the coefficient of determination, or the R squared, and said that that looks like that there's a significant amount of variation explained by the time, meaning there is a trend over time of increasing temperatures. And so it concludes that the data indicates that temperatures in Oxford have been warming over the period of the data set, and the trend is more pronounced and consistent for minimum temperatures. Okay, so an impressive job of loading the data and answering the question. Okay, this is the result of a different run. I wanted to show this to demonstrate how the response from a generative AI model in this use case can vary from prompt to prompt. Okay, so here it has given us a chart, and it is telling us that the long-term trend appears to be upward in average temperatures over the years, but there's of course some variability. So now let's say, let's ask it, is the trend statistically significant? Okay, at this point it's suggesting a linear regression. So is it a reasonable approach? Okay, it has found the results of linear regression, so the parameters for the slope and the intercept. It is also checking for significance using the R-squared and p-value test. And it has come back with a conclusion that the trend in average temperatures warming, or warming trend in average temperatures in Oxford, is statistically significant. Last thing we can do is confirm that this is a valid way to do this analysis, or this is a valid test. So we'll ask it, can you check the assumptions of linear regression? This data analyst tool is not only acting as a resource for information on what the assumptions of linear regression are. As it's done here, it's returned to us the 4 assumptions. If I were doing this analysis on my own, probably have to do a Google search to make sure that I remembered all of the assumptions. But in addition to providing us that information, is actually conducting the tests. Okay, it has run through its checks. It's checked all 4 of these assumptions: linearity, independence, homoscedasticity, and normality of residuals. It has plotted some charts. It has a distribution of residuals. It has also done the Shapiro-Wilk test that has tested for normality with these residuals. In other cases, it may do a QQ plot, but it has essentially determined that yes, the assumptions of a linear regression are met in this case. Therefore, using it to test statistical significance is valid, and it has helped answer our question. As you can see, this is a powerful tool. It understood our question, it was able to load and read the data, use that data to answer our question, and it was able to respond for additional levels of detail supporting the conclusions of the analysis.